They did a photo shoot of Mama Pig, and
She's spread out on like a sort of like silk, a lush silk.
showing off her baby bump and, like, looking, like, half naked and, like,
No,
she's
it's like a total, like, glamour spread thing. We were given these baby dolls that you had to take home, and the baby dolls would cry on a randomized schedule throughout the day and night. The babies looked very realistic, and they would just start crying in a very realistic way. You had to have them with you all the time, and you would be graded based on your ability to placate the baby doll. The child wouldn't stop crying at night. And so I marched outside and put it in the trunk of my mom's car, which
Wait, is this
it probably really disturbed passersby. Like, it's kind of amazing that, like, the
a
police weren't
child
called on
is
our house.
crying from the trunk of the
I
car?
didn't I didn't really, like, now when I think about it, like, if I came across, I would have a freaking heart attack. I would literally crowbar that car open in panic. Like, I can't believe I did that. Like, now being a mom, I cannot believe I did that, and I feel really bad.
Would you like to know more?
Hello, Malcolm. I'm so excited to be speaking with you today because we did it, guys. We we and our pronatalist cabal coerced the British media into pumping out pronatalist propaganda.
Or this is the rumor going around. A YouTuber who I like to watch, Izzy something, she paints her face in various, like, clown things. She did a piece on a rumor that's going around right now
A conspiracy theory, if you will.
that
Um,
Peppa Pig recently got the mom and it got pregnant.
yeah, let me.
Um,
I'll give the overview, and I'll also link to her video in the
okay.
pinned comment because it's so good, and her channel is just delightful, and she's amazing. But basically, what happened is Mummy Pig, who is the mother of the popular British cartoon character Peppa Pig, who is the fourth most in demand cartoon character in the world. She has her own theme park. Okay, it's just like she's a big deal. In case you don't know, she's the reason why many American kids have vague British accents, which is great. And so the mother, Mummy Pig, announced on TV, on live morning TV on Good Morning Britain, that she was pregnant.
Now, my next guest is the matriarch of an entertainment dynasty. And now I'd like to welcome in her first ever interview, someone we're all very excited to meet. It's Mummy Pig. Mummy Pig, good morning. Welcome to the show.
Gosh, well, I'm excited to share that our family is getting even bigger because we're having another baby. I'm due in the summer and we're all so excited.
That is amazing. Congratulations. How are you feeling about it?
Oh, thrilled. A little overwhelmed at the thought of having 3 children under 5 running around.
And then Mummy Pig's pregnancy and birth was covered even more in media outlets. It was covered in magazines. It was covered in live events, etc.
It was announced on the news.
It was, yeah, but more than that, it was announced by a British town crier. Like, apparently there's this thing in the UK where, like, if you want to, you can hire a town crier in full royal looking regalia to say, "Hear ye, hear ye." This sort of the same way royal babies were announced. In fact, allegedly, Peppa Pig's little sister, and she already has a little brother, George, so this is the family's third baby, but her little sister Evie was born in the Lindo wing of St. Mary's Hospital in London, which is the same wing where Kate Middleton has given birth to her children. That's like 7,000 pounds plus a night. The rooms are really pretty.
Well, no, and this was a big scandal because everyone was like, wait, they didn't use the NHS? They think they're too good for the NHS?
Honestly, though, like, this one influencer lesbian couple that I follow had twins recently, like in NHS hospitals. And I'm like, woof. Like, I get why they shelled out. We would shell out, but also seriously, like, given how much we pay in the United States with insurance, but we pay out of pocket to reach our deductible just to have a kid.
Yeah.
Really? Like, we're expected to pay $11,000 up front well before the birth just to give birth at a normal hospital, though the rooms are much nicer than an NHK hospital. So I don't know. Anyway, that's aside from the point. The Peppa Pig campaign around this birth, they also partnered with UK's National Childcare Trust. But that org is, to be fair, primarily interested in helping people who are already bullish on having kids. And they were able to raise money through this.
Well, no,
They
it's the
even did
people-
like a sponsorship with Clear Blue. Like, I think they showed
Mama and Daddy Pig was
Daddy
holding,
Pig.
clear blue box. This is a pregnancy testing company
Uh-huh.
in the United States, like branded pregnancy testing. It was the one where there was a rumor that started that if you broke them open, they had Plan B inside
Oh
them.
my god, yes,
Like
yes, and it turned
actual
out it was a
medicine.
desiccant, and people were, like, encouraging people to eat oh my god. Right, I forgot about that. Yes, that Clear Blue. And then, of course, the Peppa Pig franchise also released 10 episodes about baby Evie's arrival, where, you can also buy, like, a movie version of this called Peppa Meets the Baby. But then people started on posting on social media that this was an effort to counter falling birth rates in Britain. And so I freaking love that. I love that. Go watch it, like Izzy or Izzy something. Again, we're gonna link to her videos. She's way bigger than us. She's like 1 million subscribers. So still, this is all to say, whether this was propaganda or not, propaganda is underrated. It is quite powerful despite costing countries relatively nothing. And keep in mind here that Hungary is spending between 5 and 6% of its GDP on trying to raise birth rates through all these cash handouts that aren't really working.
So
That's equivalent to what the US is spending on its defense and military, just to give you a sense of
and
perspective
and
here.
and their birth rate went up less than neighboring countries, and that is its lowest rate ever now. So the point here that we're getting to is, one, we did not actually plan a big conspiracy around Peppa Pig. The pronatalists did not plan this, even though this is a huge meme
That's
online right now in
exactly what
lots of
we would
circles.
say if we did.
If we did. But it's not actually a bad thing. Like, if I
No.
was going to attempt to, so first let's talk about why Peppa Pig, because people will be like, "But Peppa Pig targets very young kids. Why would you use it as a way to spread propaganda?" And it's like, why do you think the Alphabet Brigade is targeting young kids with their crazy books? Because you need to build a person's value system while they are very, very young. But in
Yeah.
addition to that, what many people have already reported is their kids who like Peppa Pig asking the parents for siblings.
Isn't that sweet?
And it's
I
a very
love
good
that
way to
that's
get birth rates
happening.
up.
But
You
I think
use
that though is in the end, we were just walking by in a strip mall this morning on our strategy walk, this like kid gym where people were dropping off their kids, and it was advertising like a parent's date night where you could drop your kid for 3 hours. And they're like, in their advertisement, they said, imagine a moment where you're not watching Moana for the 15th time. And in the end, though, parents end up watching a lot of what their kids are watching because they're stuck around their
yeah,
kids. And so, as much as you say, yeah, you got to get kids while they're early, and yes, this does affect children, the reason why you're seeing this
but
stuff
keep in mind
combined with things that
what's
are very much targeted at parents, like the
yeah,
National
no,
Childcare Trust and Clearblue, is because parents are watching this stuff. They're a captive audience. But what I like it about it even more, Malcolm, is that the key thing, like beyond cultural sovereignty, we do absolutely vote for propaganda, but we're not about shaming dinks or childless people into having
yeah,
kids.
yeah, yeah. So
Prenatalism is
people
all about making it easier for people and cooler for people who are already in to this kind of thing, to family and having kids, going all in. And what Peppa Pig is doing here is just celebrating parenthood amongst those who have already bought in. These are already in. You're not making things crazy. And also, like, quite frankly, it's more affordable for people who already have kids to have more than it is for someone who doesn't have kids to have kids. I mean, when you're going from 0 to 1 kid, you're making a huge lifestyle change. You're buying everything for the first time. You're completely changing your career and your schedule and everything else and your responsibilities. If you have 2 kids and you're going to 3, not a lot changes. And you already have a lot of stuff that's reused, which is something, of course, that Mama Pig talked about in her exclusive editorial with that Italian magazine where she has the maternity spread. Because she
so
has.
but the point here being is that you are gonna have a much easier time influencing somebody who already has kids to have more kids,
Uh
or
huh.
to have the marginal additional kid,
Yeah.
instead of somebody who has 0 kids at all. Which
Yeah.
is funny that the dinks are all afraid of the pronatalist propaganda in Peppa Pig, and
Hmm.
I'm like, what dink, dual income, no kids family is watching Peppa
Yeah.
Pig?
They're not even, no one's, yeah, no dink is
How is this
watching this and
insidious?
feeling bad
It
about
is
their lives.
literally the opposite of insidiousness.
Yeah. Well, and that's the really interesting thing that I want to touch on in this episode about prenatalist propaganda is that, one, propaganda, we're all for it. It's actually quite effective. It's very affordable, and it works really well in concert with cultural sovereignty when done right, which is something we're really big on, is let me live my life the way I want. Don't tell me how to live my life. Don't shame me. Don't legally coerce me to live a certain way or restrict my choice. And yet, what's so ironic about up to date, like actual pronatalist propaganda, because we don't have any real evidence that the Peppa Pig thing was actual pronatalist propaganda, like led by government at all or anything, is that the actual attempts being made by governments are super bad. Like, and then the famous case studies, when you see birth rates affected by something that is essentially and functionally propaganda, it's typically backfiring.
Mhm.
So let's go into it, because I think this is just a fascinating subject.
Well,
And I
I mean,
think,
I got to start with one of my favorite cases,
okay.
which is the town in Japan where
Oh,
there's no
God.
more kids.
Oh,
Now
God.
there's only one kid in the town left.
Uh,
So what they've done is they have made dolls of other kids so that when the kid goes to like the playground, it doesn't look empty. When they're walking to school, it doesn't look like there aren't other kids waiting at the bus stop. But it actually looks, and if you're only listening to this on audio, my God, you have to Google this town. It
yeah.
is the most haunting, scary thing you've ever seen.
It looks straight out of a horror film.
Yeah, imagine going to a children's park and what instead you see are a bunch of stuffed hay figurines that are meant to look vaguely like rotting scarecrows of children because these have been put out for many years in many cases, right? You know, they keep building new ones. And so the old ones are sort of left as like 3-year-old scarecrows all
Faded,
around the
tattered.
yeah, all around the town's environments where children used to play. I I was making a horror movie, this would be a great horror movie. Like, I can
Yeah.
imagine few things scarier than this inversion of childhood.
Yeah. Though we live in the timeline where basically truth is stranger than fiction and more entertaining. So at least we have that. But yeah, I mean, that's a great example of it not working. So thanks for kicking us off with that. I would like to remind people that it does work. There are numerous case studies and examples, including TV, radio, music, movies, celebrities that have absolutely and measurably changed human behavior. They're not all intentional. Sometimes they're kind of unintentional, but we're able to see examples where, yes, absolutely, the equivalent of propaganda has changed behavior. So there was, for example, a Tanzanian radio drama called Tuende na Wataki that led to 82% of listeners reporting increased condom use and reduced number of sexual partners. That's pretty freaking huge. This was entirely, and this was real propaganda targeted at HIV prevention. And in northern Nigeria, 60% of family planning clients cited the radio drama Ruandare as their reason for visiting a clinic. So you can use propaganda to get people to have more protected sex. You can use propaganda to get people to go to a clinic. The Indian soap opera Kunyuki Jessa Isi Kanam Hai. I'm doing a Malcolm mispronunciation here. I can't even try. Funded by UNICEF. So again, clear propaganda was found to shift viewers' perceptions of social norms the longer they watched. So that demonstrated that sustained exposure to educational entertainment can change attitudes and behaviors. And then the radio program Bachanan Ama in Nepal combined drama and like live call-in segments. It sounds really fun. Reported 4 out of 5 listeners took appropriate action after listening, contributing to improved nutrition and health behaviors at the community level. So 100%. And honestly, like, do you remember the Savage Lovecast? Did you ever listen to that?
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, it wasn't exactly sex ed, but I mean, I think it did influence, I think, a lot of people's sexual behavior and things that they found to be normative or help them contextualize things. In terms of movies and documentaries, and so this wasn't intentional, but films like Aaron Brockovich, Blackfish, The Code, and Food Inc., sometimes intentionally, sometimes not, sparked real world changes from environmental reforms and animal welfare policy changes to shifts in consumer eating habits and increased
Well,
awareness
the
of
the
food
most
safety.
famous case here is the Brazil case, right? Or you should
I'm
probably
getting that. I'm getting into that. But we're starting now with success cases because the Brazil one was very effective, Malcolm, but
but I
not.
don't think it's I think that the best success case for prenatalist propaganda that we are aware of
I'm gonna
is
get to these,
framed
Malcolm. I'm gonna
as a
get to these.
failure.
I'm gonna get to these. I'm gonna get to these.
Okay.
But basically, propaganda works when applied smartly. But yeah, absolutely. The two examples of propaganda shifting birth rates that are most prominent and well documented are either unintentional or backfiring programs. So the Brazilian soap opera example that Malcolm referenced, basically there was a study on this on this phenomenon called soap operas and fertility, evidence from Brazil. This was done in 2012. The researchers analyzed data from 1970 to 1991 and found that exposure to Global Network's novellas, so this one particular TV network, which consistently portrayed small middle class families, this is the key thing, correlated with reduced fertility in the covered regions. And so basically women in areas with Globo coverage, because this network didn't play everywhere, which is then you have a natural controlled experiment, experienced a zero point 0.5 to zero point 0.6 percentage point decrease in the probability of giving birth, which is the equivalent to 5 to 5 to 6% of the mean fertility rate. So the effect accounted for 7% approximately of Brazil's overall fertility decline, which seems like a little, but honestly, like considering the relative cost of this and what other countries are spending to try to shift fertility, it's pretty meaningful. And then also you could see other areas of influence. So parents in Globo covered areas were 33% like more likely to name their children after novella characters. So that also confirms behavioral influence. You can't just say, oh, it was something else, because you're also seeing other areas, not necessarily directly fertility related, where the where the show had a lot of influence. So that's
But
crazy, especially because the bigger picture here, if we want to kind of compare it, is Brazil's fertility drop between 1960 and 2000 matched China's one-child policy decline, but without state coercion, which suggests the media power in social transformation. So in China, you're getting a checkup and then you're getting a forced abortion, whereas in Brazil, you're at home watching a telenovela and sterilizing yourself. I mean, I know which country I'd want to be in. I want to watch the telenovelas and have people leave me alone. And then the second one, and this is actual sort of pregnancy intervention, it just went the wrong way, is the botched teen pregnancy avoidance programs. The
yeah,
most definitive evidence comes from a large randomized controlled trial conducted in Western Australia. And this was published in The Lancet, where nearly 3,000 girls aged 13 to 15 were tracked from 57 schools. And about half participated in the Virtual Infant Parenting VIP program, which involved tracking home infant simulator doll for a weekend and receiving related health education. And then the other half received standard health education without the doll. And then the key findings were that by age 20, 8% of the girls who participated in the VIP program had given birth, compared to just 4% in the control group.
wait,
8% by age
8%,
20.
but still, that's double the
By
rate.
age 20. Age 20 is an early time to have kids. And then 9% of the VIP group had an abortion versus 6% in the control group. So they also had more oopsie pregnancies for whatever reason. But overall, girls exposed to the infant simulator were 36% more likely to experience a pregnancy, birth, or abortion.
People don't know the infant simulator. You saw this a lot on old shows as like a
Oh,
trope.
I did it. I did it. I had
You
it.
did it? So
Yeah. So
explain.
this happened to me in middle school. What happened was in as part of our health class, we were given these baby dolls that you had to take home. And the baby dolls would cry on a randomized schedule throughout the day and night. The babies looked very realistic, aside from the fact that they smelled like bowling ball shoes because they were sprayed with like a disinfectant, because God knows teens are infectious and you can't spread disease by having too many teens touch the dolls before you disinfect them. And they would just start crying in a very realistic way. You had to have them with you all the time, and you would be graded based on your ability to placate the baby doll. So you were given a key ring, and there were a bunch of little key cards on it. One was like diaper change, one was feeding, one was soothing. So you had to like put these cards in their backs to figure out what was wrong with them, because you didn't know. And then every now and then a crying cycle they would go on could not be solved by anything. You would just have to wait it out. And this was a little bit awkward for me when I had the doll, because my doll, I had to like go to the grocery store with my mom, and like I'm like shoving the cards into its back, and like people think that it's a real baby, and then I'm like beating this child. And then also I think my doll was
I
defective.
am imagining, because you are an awkward adult. You
Yeah,
would have been a very awkward teen, and you would
it
have
didn't look
absolutely
great.
looked like you were like trying to turn off a child.
It was not the best look for me personally. And keep in mind, like until I met Malcolm, I was very against having kids. This program worked for me because the child wouldn't stop crying at night. And like none of the keys worked, and so I marched outside and put it in the trunk of my mom's car, which
Wait, is this
it probably really disturbed passersby. Like, it's kind of amazing that, like, the
a
police weren't
child
called on
is
our house.
crying from the trunk of the
I
car?
didn't I didn't really like, now when I think about it, like, if I came across, I would have a freaking heart attack. I would literally crowbar that car open in panic. Like, I can't believe I did that. Like, now being a mom, I cannot believe I did that, and I feel really bad. My only concern then was literally, like, I'm gonna be given a bad grade because the doll's, like, chip is gonna show up as, like, being neglected because we were told that we
What
were gonna
happened?
be.
Were you given a bad grade?
I told my teacher that the doll was defective, and she didn't. I think she was she was like the classic lesbian gym teacher kind of person, I think, and like she's just like, I fine, I don't care. Like I don't, I'm not big on kids anyway. So yeah, that happened. But yeah, so what happened though, and I saw this with my classmates, is there were some girls who were like going out buying clothes for the baby. They were so excited for the baby program. They were like, "Oh, look at me! This is so great!" And these programs, I think, were different from like earlier 1950s versions of these programs where you had to like carry around a sack of flour or an egg, which I think we saw in some of our childhood cartoons, because this was, a real baby. And so I can absolutely see how these Australian
Well,
studies were
I
onto
think
something.
that what we're seeing here is different cultural genetic predilections interact with different forms of propaganda in different
Mhm.
ways.
Yes, yeah, that for some girls, this was like, "Okay, I'm sold. I freaking love this." And for me, I was like, the paving in the trunk of the car. But yeah, so I think, what we also need to do is discuss what's going on now though with propaganda and prenatalism. And the most prominent example now, I would say, is looking at Russia and China. These
Yeah,
are the
China
countries that
has
are.
some really interesting
Well,
programs
no,
with
what's
about baby.
happening more, if you look at news alerts with prenatalism, is it's all about Russia right now. And the headline that is just repeating ad nauseum is Putin is paying Russian schoolgirls to have babies because he's giving some kind of stipend or bonus to schoolgirls, like, well, basically minor women, like women under 18, if they choose to have children. So that's outside the domain of this, but like Russia is kind of going for broke because they've like killed their men.
Yeah, well, Russia's really screwed. Like,
They're
they're
really screwed.
one of the
Yeah,
most screwed demographic countries in the world right now,
yeah.
because they have a fertility rate of, like, what is it, like 1.2 or something? Or wait, let's see, Russian
But
TFR.
and it's not just that though. They're like killing their men of reproductive age. So unless they're like, hey, let's bring harems back. Let's do polyamory. Let's do polygamy. That's it's not that
Well, they're
really anything.
also losing their women, tons of women. Oh, it's at 1.41, but still
Ukrainian
really
women,
bad.
yeah, but like the news I've seen recently is more about Ukrainian women leaving and not coming back. But yeah, Russian women too. It's a
Hey,
problem.
Russian women, I hasn't they're definitely, and in many
Well,
countries
they're
as
they're
well.
they're they're
Like
sought
in South
after. Both
Korea,
Russian
if
and
you were
Ukrainian women are sought after as passport bureau wives. So, because they're like hot, and I don't know, I think they're too cunning. I wouldn't want to.
no, I wouldn't want one either.
Anyway, that's kind of aside because that has to do more with money. There is actually a lot of Russian propaganda work being done, which is great because when you think about prenatalist propaganda, I think a lot of people think of that famous poster of this woman with like 9 children. She's holding a baby, and then behind her, her oldest children have joined the military already. It's great. I love it. It's a wonderful poster. I'll share it with you. But the Russian State Duma has passed legislation that bans all but positive depictions of parenting and children in the media.
Yeah, and people have been to be like, I think this is hurting some, like, gay rights groups, this is hurting some
Yeah,
groups,
no, this is so
like
this was on top of existing anti-LGBT legislation.
yeah,
So what they've done most recently is they've effectively outlawed the promotion or dissemination of content that portrays child-free lifestyles or voluntary childlessness in a neutral or even neutral. You can't, so
yeah,
it can only be depicted negatively or
child
positively.
free can only be a tragedy, which
Yeah.
I think is good. It's good that Russia is doing this, and it will have an effect.
Yeah, although, I'm more for the Peppa Pig style of
Well, I
prenatal
mean, look at
propaganda.
America, right? I think that worse than glorifying child-free lifestyles
Mhm.
is glorifying having two or one kids, which I
Mhm.
think is a problem with US natalist stuff. So
Yeah, because if you're gonna have kids, you should go for broke, man.
if you look
Right.
at the, like, Boss Baby, which people could see, oh, this is a pronatalist thing. The
No.
TFR average of the main
No.
characters in Boss Baby, because it's about two brothers,
Yeah.
is What is it? One.
One. Isn't it
It's
one?
one. It's
Yeah.
one. It's literally abysmal because it is
Yeah,
one
they
of the
failed.
brothers has 2 kids, the other brother has no kids.
And that's 2 kids with a stay-at-home dad. I'm sorry, if you have a stay-at-home parent, you gotta go for a lot,
You gotta go
you
for at
know?
least, like,
You've
6.
demonstrated that you're willing to invest in parenthood, so invest in parenthood for the love of God, and don't isolate your children with you. I mean, the
Yeah,
whole point I mean, like, sometimes I feel like the whole point of having siblings is just to water down the negative effects of parents, you know? You don't have to worry about yourself screwing them up
right.
as much
But
because the kids are moderating. But anyway, so but
no, but hold on, if you look at older shows, like, consider shows that you grew up on, like Home Alone and
yeah,
stuff
Home
like
Alone,
that,
huge family, yeah.
large families are very normal, and that's not even about kids. I think the TFR average in Home Alone is, like, 5.
Yeah, they're big families. It's great. It's really
Yeah, and it's not even, like, brought up as, like, a point in the show other than, even with a large family, they still love all their kids, and sometimes they forget one.
I just sometimes forget them. Oops, like on multiple occasions, but it happens, right?
It
But
happens.
anyways, Russia's new law just basically prohibits what's called child-free propaganda. Any media. This is films, advertisements, online content that encourages or justifies the conscious decision not to have children. This was passed unanimously by the Duma in November 2024, so it's relatively new. And like you were saying, what this legislation does, it amends existing laws that already ban promotion of LGBTQ relationships and gender reassignment. So this is on top of like an anti-woke thing. And violations of the law are fines up to about $4,000 for individuals. Because again, this is like if you're a social media influencer. This is not just for like movies, and up to $50,000 for companies. So this is
Wow!
crazy.
No, I saw one woman who was, like, she was, like, really sad because 'cause she'd become this big influencer or something,
Oh
and she
no.
goes, "Wait, now I'm getting fined for this?"
Yeah, now being a dink influencer and suddenly being fined. I mean, if you and I were fined $4,000 every time we promoted kids, we'd be kind of screwed.
We've
But
spoken on Russian state TV. I think a lot of people would be
oh yeah,
surprised by the state TVs. We've spoken on Iranian state TV about increasing Iran's fertility rate. We've spoken on, Russian state TV about increasing Russians'
yeah.
fertility
And
rate.
next week it's Australia and the Netherlands, and then what? On Monday it was Germany. So other people are waking up to this. But what had happened in 2024 in Russia was they named it, they declared it the year of the family. So this was just one of many things, but that's typically how propaganda has worked in countries. Like it's supposed to be used in concert with a bunch of other things. But basically starting September 1st of this year, so this hasn't actually gone into effect yet. There's going to be social media monitoring, media regulators. So we haven't even seen it yet. So we can't say how it's going to play out, but we're absolutely interested in
I was just thinking, like, with all the stuff Russia's doing, maybe we should reach out.
I know because this isn't the only thing they're doing. So here's some other propaganda style year of the family things. There's family studies became an optional extracurricular in Russian schools. So this is designed to like instill traditional family values, promote abstinence before marriage, encourage having multiple children. The curriculum this is this isn't what I would necessarily I mean, it would freak a lot of people. This wouldn't work in America, but it covers topics such as masculinity and femininity, the importance of large families, and the reproductive function of the family in addressing demographic problems. Like, it's your Russian duty to do this, which is just so Russian. I like it. There are also public campaigns promoting family values just in media and advertising. So it's not just don't do this. It's also, hey, we really support this. So I think that that's just really interesting. And then of course there's China. That's the other place that's really trying
Mhm.
to go for this. And this is after decades of the one child policy. Now they've pivoted to their pro-birth culture. So there are television and service ads, there are propaganda posters and slogans, social media campaigns, cultural content. And you can see, and I will send them to you, hilarious examples of before and after the child policy in Japan. Here, actually, let me send these on WhatsApp. Oh, first, I'm going to send you a picture of the Linda Wing where Peppa Pig's baby sister was born, and a screenshot of the Grazia
Oh,
exclusive with
wow, the
Mummy
Linda
Pig.
Wing is nice.
I want that. I want that. I mean, I my hospital delivery room
They
was
they
pretty
oh
nice.
my god, yeah, they did a photo shoot of Mama Pig. Is this from the Mama Pig fake
That's
photo?
from the magazine exclusive.
and they and they make her look like one of those fancy magazine ladies. I
Yeah,
actually
like
think
she has her she's like she's spread out on like a sort of like silk, a lush silk.
showing off her baby bump and, like, looking, like, half naked and,
No,
like,
it's
she's
it's like a total like glamour spread thing. It is absolutely it's really it's kind of weird because they also had her on a podcast.
wait, hold on.
Um,
It goes, "In this world exclusive, Mommy Pig sits down with Grazier for her first pregnancy shoot and interview." Oink.
no, they really it's the extent to which they acted like it was a real thing, especially with the town crier and like being really specific about it being the Linda wing. Let me show you actually like for comparison, the room that I gave birth in was actually pretty not bad because I know you don't see them because I ask to be alone when I give birth. But
Uh,
compare the room where I gave birth to like or my postpartum room for Indy.
yeah, but it has a better view.
It has a better view. Yeah,
And
but I mean it doesn't have like
hold on,
the
it's a
like
bigger
really
room too, and your bed's
posh
bigger.
amenities. Yeah. So
So
I
you're
yeah.
bigger than where the prince was born?
I'm just saying, like, good American hospitals are pretty good. Like, I just think giving birth in the UK, if they really want to make it more pleasant, they need to make every hospital like the Linda Wing. Like, these are basic requirements. It's not exactly like a
I'm looking
delivery
at
room in
this,
Turkey.
but the view that you have from there is of a giant cornfield. It's really nice.
Yeah, I'm really excited to give birth there in October because then like hopefully the cornfield would be this like gorgeous color and everything. But here I'm sending you an image of a statue in China before and after the pro family policy where there's this it starts with a one child policy statue where there's a mom and a dad and a child and then suddenly two more child statues appear.
I
Huh.
love this in China where they're adding children to the statues.
Yeah, what on earth is going on? And I'll show you a stamp from the year of the pig where huh, what there's one pig and then
And now
there's
it's
a
2
lot of
pigs with a
pigs.
bunch of little piglets, 3 piglets, not even a bunch.
Yeah. What and
They're
then we
trying
need
to
more
normalize
pigs.
families of 3, which I think
Yeah,
is great.
what is this with Peppa with pigs and birth rates? I thought it was like we're at it right like rabbits, not we're reproducing like pigs. That's not like a phrase I know. But then
Piglets.
yeah,
Piglets are cute.
here are other
Rabbits are cute.
examples. There's before and after of just some other materials and ads where just more children are just randomly being
In China,
illustrated
yeah,
into
they
things.
added it was a girl playing with a kite, and now she's waving at her dad and brother, which
Yeah, and
is
then there's like a TV commercial where they're depicting like a house full of children, and there's the woman coming into like a bedroom holding her stomach, saying it's getting livelier around here, and like focusing on old and young generations together, enjoying fireworks together, and also there are examples of places where one child policy propaganda paintings and illustrations on the sides of buildings have just been like deleted, like acid washed off.
well, I note that, like, in China, I doubt this will work because it all feels so totalitarian and
That's the
heavy-handed.
problem. That's the
But the
problem.
thing is while Japan has a troubling fertility rate right now, it does have, like, one of the best of the wealthy countries in East Asia.
But also, I think what Japan does so well is
Is
they
organic pronatalist propaganda. They've got, Gurren Lagann and Grandpa Turn Young Again, and you can watch
yes.
our episode on pronatalist anime, Darlings was Frank's, but Japan has extensive, well thought out pronatalist stuff that was made by individuals in Japan who are concerned about losing their culture. That's
Well,
the
and who
thing.
but who make it glamorous and not going back to that Brazilian case study where they inadvertently reduced the birth rate. They did that because the glamorous family had fewer children. People, it's not like they hated children, it's that they wanted to be like that family because they still had children. They just named people
Well,
after the
no, I mean, I think making it look glamorous is gonna work depending on the culture that you're targeting. I
mm,
think one of the things that Japan has done really well is they target an understanding of Japanese culture
yeah.
in their messaging. So they don't make lots of kids look glamorous in something like Grandpa and Grandpa Turn Young Again, but there's, like, the great scene where she goes and the person is like, "Oh, well, I'll be closing down the shop soon because just every year there's fewer and fewer people that come through,
I know
the
that part
subway,
makes me so sad.
And she goes, "It's just the way of things these days." And then the other person, like, stomps their feet angrily and they go, "Why aren't we even fighting?" And, like, "Why
Yeah.
aren't we even trying?"
Yeah.
And the point here is like, are we gonna go down without even a fight? And I
Yeah.
think this appeals to traditional Japanese sensibilities of
Mhm.
like, yeah, we should be fighting this. Or you look at the way it's promoted in something like Gurren Lagann, where it's ultra
Mhm.
vitalistic,
Mhm.
like, we're gonna go to the stars and expand throughout the universe, and the big bad guys, they want to keep you down and at low population levels, and have you believe there's a carrying capacity of the earth. Or
Mhm.
in Darling with Franks, it's the life extensionists who are the bad guys. The people who believe in good old fashioned sex and having kids with a mom and a dad, who are the good guys, and then they make it about fighting monsters in mechas as well.
Well,
Um,
come on, because
but
anime.
but at least in Darling with Franks, you can only the mechas only work if they have a male and female pilot, and the female sits down butt up in front of the male in a very suggestive pose.
No, but see, this is how it's done. You don't like doing it in Russia where there's these classes in school, like your elective, where you can learn about femininity and masculinity from a teacher who you probably don't respect that much. That's not how you do propaganda. You do propaganda like this anime nonsense, okay?
No, but I mean, I mentioned this in the anime episode, but the crazy scene in Darling with Franks, like if you want to see this would never get published in the US, one of the characters, no shame at all is shown in the show,
Hmm.
is a girl who has a crush on another girl,
Mhm.
and she tries to get the robot to work. The robot, which is like, this is what you use to save and preserve human civilization, to work with a girl and a girl, and like no shade is shown on them for her being gay, but it's like, but this just doesn't work.
Yeah.
This
Like
isn't going to
mechanically, it
continue
won't work.
civilization and protect it,
Yeah.
which I thought was really a bold thing to put in an anime. It was in modern context, but
Right.
it was there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, I think that's a really good point. I mean, in terms of what we suggest, it's feed into what works for your culture. Don't be creepy about it, like in China. Or I mean, arguably, like I want to say, like I just don't think shame is how you do it. As Arya Babu found in countries where I think you do feel more shame for in being insufficiently conservative or being insufficiently conformist per what the government or society at large expects of you, then you've made the pressure exogenous. You have to make the desire endogenous. It has to come from within, and doing it in more subtle ways where it's inspiring through anime or through a telenovela or through exposure to a doll that makes you super excited about it because it actually helps you wrap your head around the idea of being a parent, because that's another really big thing. One thing that Catherine Pakalik talks about in her book Hannah's Children, where she interviews mothers who are college educated in America but who have more than five children, is that a lot of the typical American child is never around babies, is never around other kids. Like it's hard to model what being a parent could even be like because they don't know what it they can't imagine it. Like who's held a baby, who's a 20-year-old right now? Not that many people unless they themselves had a lot of siblings, and that helps I think a lot. So like that exposure I think is also important, and in a positive context of course. But then, also stuff that targets the parentally inclined. That's why I like the Peppa Pig thing. I think it's brilliant because you're leaning in to the families who really are the most likely to solve the birth rate problem. Because this isn't about shaming people into
Think
having one or
about
two
how
kids. One or
we
two
no,
kids is not
no,
enough.
no. I think, like, yeah, you could say it doesn't work with shame in some cultures, but I think within other cultures, like you look at you, like you are not convinced to have a kid by giving a little doll or something like that.
Mhm.
And men within my culture wouldn't be, but I
Yeah.
know that when I say something like, you are technically a cuck if you don't have a kid. You are being cucked
Right. That
by the
that
state because you are
that targets
paying
it right.
taxes to support the
Yeah.
people who are replacing you,
Yeah.
that you are being genetically replaced and paying for it, that would get me pumped as a
Yeah, so
younger
you're right.
person.
The targeting is important. Like the dolls only work for the girls who are like, "Oh, a doll, how cute!" and like, "Oh my
When I
gosh, I could
tell
totally see
people
myself."
you can capture the future of human civilization through being reproductively successful and raising those kids well,
Yeah,
that's what appeals to me. All of this
yeah.
sentimentality and, oh, this is high status, or, oh, this is, I don't care about any of that. But if it's, oh, this is how you matter in the grand scheme of reality and this is what is morally good, that gets me.
Hmm. Yeah, when I think what kind of initially got me was that you were like, this could be just an additive to your achievement in life. Like, one, you don't have to give up your career, but also you can also have this huge family and be really impressive this way. Like, there are ways to frame it to highly career minded ambitious women too, if you frame it the right way. So yeah, there is no one size fits all for sure, and every country has to think about this very differently. But I really do think that in terms of the propaganda that's taking place today, if we had like a 2025 pronatalist propaganda Olympics, Russia, despite their intense investment and especially the crackdown that's going to begin in September of this year, is not taking first place. The Peppa Pig is taking first place, like hands down, clearly. So
Yeah.
anyway, I'm excited.
I mean, I think that fortunately we're seeing a shift within public narratives that people are seeing this with Peppa Pig, and I love that they freak out that there might even be a pronatalist agenda. One of the things they're like, it's so insidious. Children are seeing this. It's like, bro, children are seeing a mom have a 3-kid family, and you didn't freak out when kids were given books about how to give like blowjobs. Like, this was
Fair
a
point.
real thing, by the way.
Yeah.
This is one of the books that was being fought about in the court cases on this. Like, you what? How is it that this is a problem to you? And you're like, oh my god, the other side has propaganda too, but we will use our propaganda. I will make more addicting AI agents than you. I will have them on every website. We are going to win this fight. Darn it.
Yeah,
I love
absolutely.
you.
I love you too so much.
Uh,
Am I making you rendang taquitos tonight?
no, you're gonna reheat the yang from the last 2 nights in taquitos.
Yeah, that's so the answer is yes. I'm
Yes,
making
and then
you
I'll have it
rendang
with the
taquitos
guacamole
tonight.
you made, and
You
I
just
couldn't tell.
can't bear to
Simone,
say yes.
can you throw out the older guacamole? Because I can't tell which is the old
I
one and
did.
which
No,
one.
I already fed it to the chickens.
Oh, so the new one's separated into like a liquid and guacamole, and we just need to remix it.
I did?
Yeah, I think it's the result of adding chicken bouillon.
No, because it was dry, Malcolm.
Well, then what's the
Even if
liquid?
we I will take a look. I haven't looked at it in the fridge. But
I think it'll be fine
maybe
after remixing.
condensation formed on top. But no, the guacamole that is in the fridge now is only the guacamole we made last night. The
Okay.
other guacamole has gone to the chickens.
Well, I love you to death, Simone. I am very excited for your taquitos. You make really good taquitos,
Taquitos.
by the
Well,
way.
as long as I follow your rule, which is not
Not
too much
too
meat.
much
Not too
meat.
much meat.
Very
Yeah.
little meat.
I know basically it's almost like a spice in taquitos. Meat is a spice. It is not a it's like sushi levels. Like but the wraps, the roll, sushi roll level.
Yes, literally, it should be smaller than sushi
I know.
levels.
See, I'm more of a burrito person. I want like, pack it in there. Taquitos are like basically just lightly flavored fried tortilla rolls, but
Stop your complaining.
with cheddar cheese or no cheddar cheese.
Cheddar cheese would be quite good.
Okay, and then you'll dip it in the guacamole after I remix it.
Yeah, I mean, unless cheddar cheese makes it harder. I mean,
No,
it
well, I'll shred
marginally.
some. I'll shred some. It'll be fine.
All right, love you to
Yeah,
death, Simone. You are a very, very good wife,
you are a perfect
and I
husband.
hope that we are pronatalist propaganda for our fans. And obviously, the biggest pronatalist propaganda is to, and we achieved this very early in the movement, is the high fertility billionaires. These were like the original stories, and they were quite attempted to be negative towards us, but they always associated pronatalism with tech elite.
Yeah, and they had to make us seem wealthier than we were and higher status than we were because we wouldn't seem like big bads if
Big bad
yeah,
elitist.
like
But what
they
was
couldn't.
funny
I think
about
they
this,
would want to play us down because they wanted to make us look as bad as possible, but they also had to make us look as evil as possible. And you're not sufficiently evil if you're not literally like the most wealthy and powerful.
yeah, but the funny thing is what tech elite literally translates to in the mind of the average American is self-made, educated, wealthy person, which is the category of wealthy people that most people want to be. Most people
I
don't
don't
want to
know.
be old money or blue blood
I
elite. And
think you're forgetting how few people even know what the acronym VC stands for.
no, I understand, Simone, but the point I'm making is that they of all the groups they could have painted us as, there is no other group of elite that is more cogent with the mainstream American dream. In
Yeah,
terms
no,
of,
yeah, that is the new American dream, is that you strove, you took risks, and it paid off. Yeah,
yeah. And
yeah.
so it really painted, and we're actually already seeing the effects downstream of this, where people consider it high status within specific groups. How many kids you have, and it's even
No,
becoming
it's
like,
so cool. This is just like when you and I popularized married search funds, and at first people were like, "No one does that."
we did this thing, and now it's taught about at Harvard and Stanford Business
Now it's
School.
just one of the standard formats. And yeah, before you would never hang out at like a tech elite party and hear people be like, "Oh yeah, I'm going to start my company and have a lot of kids and bank my embryos." And now it's just like super normative talk.
Super normative. I'd say, like, almost every event we see this now. And by the way, the
Mhm.
thing she's talking about, so people don't know that's about us, but, I went to Stanford Business School, and when I was at Stanford Business School, I invented
It's
something
actually
called.
really, I just want to be clear. The fact that Malcolm went to Stanford Business School is actually a really big deal because it is harder to get into than the Harvard's business school.
It's also harder to get into than any other degree program at Stanford. Any PhD. I remember somebody was like, "Oh, you pretended like you a Stanford PhD when you only have an MBA," and I'm like, "Actually, the MBA is dramatically harder to get into than the other
Yeah.
PhD." I
Yeah.
applied to other PhD programs and I got in, like, at equal schools to Stanford. I didn't apply to Stanford because I was looking at going to, like, I can't remember where it was, but I remember I got into it at other Ivy League institution or quality. And the business school was the one that I was really excited about because I was
Mhm.
like, "Oh, this is the actual hard one." When people don't know that. But the point here being is I was watching recently a thing on Lex Friedman, for example, who I actually had believed was like a smart guy. And it turned out that all of his degrees are from Drexel and he never actually worked as a professor at MIT. He taught night courses that like anyone could go to, and they were off semester night courses. And the picture he uses from all of his profiles is him standing in front of somebody else's equation at one of these.
So
And this
wait,
actually
wait.
matters because Friedman calls himself an MIT professor because he did this. Simone and I have also taught lectures at Harvard Business School, at Stanford Business School, at Carnegie Mellon Business School, I'm sure you taught something at Cambridge. So we could call ourselves Harvard or Stanford professors with the exact same credibility that Lex Friedman is an MIT professor. And that really annoyed me when I saw that because I was like, oh, why didn't I think to lie? You know, it's just because I wouldn't do that, I guess.
You wouldn't. All right, my mic has given up on me, so I guess that's our sign for me to.
Have a good one, Simone, and I love you to death.
The computer's telling me to get in the kitchen and make you a sandwich.
Get in the kitchen and make me taquitos and do it right and don't do it wrong because it is expected of you, the perfect woman.
Hi, I will do it. Oh, I love you. And I'll get us started. I'll take the lead so you can take a breather since you took the lead on the last one.
People love it when you take the lead.
I don't think so. I think just variation makes people excited. So anyway, here I go.
What are you guys up to?
I indicated. Oh, there is a clothes storm! Look out! Ah! You like it, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Show her again.
Okay. Let me do it again. I'm gonna do it again. Oh, even bigger and bigger than it was before. Oh no! Rainstorm! Oh no! Closed door! Ah! Indy really likes that.
Yeah, she seems to like putting all the laundry away, too.
Yeah, he really likes.
Indy, are you going to be my laundry helper one of these days? Yeah. She's
He
hard at
really
work.
likes it, right?
Yeah.
Does he like the crate? I think he really is having fun with me.
I think she is, too.
Yeah, maybe I
And
think.
did you win your game?
Yeah.
Good job, friend.
Thank you.
Proud of you. Thanks for playing with your sister, buddy.
Yeah, so you don't have to like do that to him. Like,
Well, she gets bored with just me. She wants her brother. All right, you keep having fun.